You can't change what's happened. I've been praying for a miracle, I'll be quite honest. When I saw that organ in bits, I could have cried like a blooming big baby.
People say when I'm abroad, what on earth are they doing getting rid of these wonderful instruments? There is no answer. It's just madness. The statistics are against us. There's at least one church being closed almost every week. In those churches, at least half the organs are probably worth saving. But if they're not saved, a huge amount of really wonderful handwork and inspiration goes into the bin.
I'm a filmmaker who loves the sound of pipe organs, but I don't meet many people nowadays who feel the same way.
Okay, happy? It only focuses to a certain point. That's better.
Though I'm not very religious, the fate of organs in closing churches worries me. When I hear an instrument with hundreds, sometimes thousands of pipes fill a building with music, it has a power and grace I find truly moving.
Shall I just go when I'm ready?
Yeah.
Nothing you hear through a loudspeaker, like the one you're listening through right now, comes close to the real thing. Organs are so much more than hymn boxes. What they are is a sort of musical lens through which we can see what Britain once was and how we've changed. Until recently, pipe organs were at the heart of our communities and culture. Now, they're largely ignored, and many are heading for the scrap heap. I wanted to make a film about this disappearing world and find out about the small group of enthusiasts fighting to save organs. A man who spent his life working with pipe organs is Martin Renshaw.
You come here, and what do you do here?
I come to tune the organ. And I've been coming here since 1975, I think. Something like that. I'm an old retainer, you know. I've seen 2 generations of the Sackville family anyway. So we'll go and ring the bell on their door.
How special is this organ now?
Oh, well, utterly special. I mean, it's by decades the oldest instrument that's still working in anything like original condition. The oldest bits are the case, the soundboard, and about 2/3 of the pipes. This will be among the oldest pipes in the organ. It is a principal. It's got a later marking on it, but and you see it's actually lying down horizontally, which is interesting to save space. And I don't know if that makes the sound it did in 1590, but it can't be much different.
Before electricity came along, all organs had to be manually pumped to blow air through a bellows into the pipes. tuning is done by minutely adjusting the length of each pipe.
That's A. Should be there. Ah, got it. If someone puts their head in, they say, oh, it's homemade. Well, it's not standardized. Okay, every pipe is different. It's all handcrafted. In churches, you've got a huge variety of instruments, and there are products of individual people. Just like a painting, you can actually hear the signature in the organ. They're not industrial products. They're not turned off the shelf for the most part. They never have been and never will be. You can't do it that way.
It's amazing that this organ still produces the same sound it made over 400 years ago, when the first Queen Elizabeth was on the throne.
Difficult to play and pump. That's why you always have someone else doing it for you.
Martin isn't just an organ tuner. He builds them and writes books about them. But nowadays, he spends most of his time rescuing them.
I know that 30 Methodist chapels a year are closing at the moment.
Is that something that people should be mad about, do you think?
Yeah, in some cases, actually, we've got to watch it with these churches, but they often have the interesting organs. And sometimes you do find some real gems. I have a real problem, actually, that if I hear of an instrument that's available, and I know what sort of instrument it is, and who made it, and how old it is, and how good it's likely to be, I'm almost impelled to go to see it. And once I've seen it, I've got to do something about it. I can't avoid it. Hello.
All right, well, let me just follow you, yeah?
Yes, okay.
Don't worry, I'll chat to you when you get going.
Righto.
Martin's agreed to let me accompany him and his assistant on some of his organ rescue missions.
Well, here we are. And as I was saying, you don't look for great organs in cathedrals. You look for the interesting organs in churches that anybody would drive past.
This impressive-looking instrument needs saving before the builders remove it to turn the church into housing.
Those are really old pipes. And when I saw those, I knew this was something interesting. Ah, it's good sound, that. I'm going to start again. The sort of duet, because the organ's playing some notes I'm not. It's very good. It's lovely. Lovely flute, says always on it. English organs of this kind. Lovely sweet sound of wooden pipes. And there's a Sweet sound of people bashing the pews apart as well. I suppose if I hadn't come along, what would have happened to the organ? Well, on the skip. I sometimes say I don't take organs out of churches, I take them out of skips. I've always had a fascination with mechanical things. I was about 15 when I started saving organs. Well, saving is perhaps not quite the right word, but at least taking an organ out, wrecking it, and trying to find out how it worked. You can now see where all the pipes used to stand and how many there are. Lots of holes. There would be about 600 pipes in the organ, and about 400 of those would have been just on this soundboard here. So there we are, last of the reed pipes.
Are they complicated machines, organs?
Desperately complicated, really, yes. I think with clocks, they're the most complicated things, technologies that existed, certainly in the Middle Ages. To give an idea of the scale of work involved in making an organ like this, it would take something like 2 years for one person to make this organ. When you press a key down, what you're doing is you're opening a valve. The key goes down. You see that one?
Yeah.
It's going up. Then that presses the end of a lever inside here. The end goes up and the bottom comes down. And that's called a backfall.
And where does that go up to?
And then that pulls the valve down. And if I play the keys, you'll see the valves going down, one after the other. As I go up the scale, up to the top note. They're letting air into the space between two pieces of wood that go right from the front of this, right to the back. And over that space sit all the pipes that can be played by that key. What stops them sounding all at once are the stops. That's why they're called stops. And the stop consists of a piece of wood which moves about 2 centimeters. And that's full of holes. It's full of the same holes as you have on top here. But if you move it the 2 centimeters, all those holes all the way along close. That's the stop. Off, on, boop.
Martin doesn't have to buy the organs he rescues.
Okay.
But as he's not found a new home for the Winston organ yet, he's going to have to pay to store it.
Do you make money?
We survive. I wouldn't say any more than that. If you wait for the money to get sorted out, it's too late. This place is sold. To find a definite place for it, to sign a contract, to get the money, it's just too short. So we just have to sort of get on with it and hope to get the money back sometime. If it doesn't come back, well, at least we've saved an organ. What I fear is precisely that the historic instruments will go as well as the dross. If the tiny church in the back of nowhere has a fascinating, interesting cultural icon that's that organ, that might be hundreds of years old, what are we going to do? Just shut the door and leave it to rot? And that is what keeps me awake at night.
Why is this so important to you?
It's important to me because they're the only instruments that we can hear that, say, Handel heard, or Bach heard, or all our ancestors heard at various times. There's a little made-up lament for the last pipes in the organ. Those lovely wooden ones up there. Luc, bonjour, bonsoir. C'est Martin. Alors, bonsoir. OK. La seule chose que j'ai pas ouvert avec lui, c'est la question de l'orgue. The basic problem is there just aren't enough homes for good instruments in this country. So what happens is they go abroad. And then we've lost our cultural heritage.
So far, Martin saved 55 organs, many of which he's had to take to France.
When an organ comes along, I sent it out to my various contacts in England, but also in France. In France, they have a sort of lack of organ culture. In the 19th century, they didn't have organs, and now they do want them. They can't afford new ones, so importing a really nice organ, well restored, is a very good alternative.
At least the organs Martin sends to France are not being scrapped. But it's sad we don't seem to want them. One of Martin's most recent contacts is in the UK. Fiona Paquette runs a music school from a Seventh-day Adventist church in East London.
An organ has always been a big part of my life, you know, since the age of 12, 13, since I was first introduced to it. We had a few organists at that time, and after service I would just go up and watch them play, you know, and then my mum would sometimes try and call me away from there, you know, come away from there, come and sit down, what are you doing there? But I wouldn't move. And it's kind of stuck with me throughout. The church leadership made a decision to get rid of the pipe organ. I was angry, basically. I remember the Saturday after it was taken out, all the pipes and everything was taken out. It was a very sad Saturday. It was like someone had died, basically. That's what it was like. You know, I've waited and waited and waited, patiently waiting, well over 20 years to get my hands on one again.
Fiona's not the only one missing the sounds of her youth.
I grew up in the Caribbean, and when we used to go to church, that was the only thing we had in church. Coming in the church itself, listening to it play, especially when it plays the hymns. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's like the music is playing from heaven, and you're there relaxing and sitting there with angels and stuff like that. That's just my thought about this thing.
The massive nature of the building, it deserves a pipe organ, you know, to make it more complete. Many more people will come and worship because of the organ.
You think so?
Yes, I feel. I believe it.
Sadly, Martin's latest rescued organ from Winston, County Durham, isn't going to fit the bill. It's not powerful enough to fill this large church. They're going to have to wait and hope the right-sized instrument can be found. In garages, lockups, and homes all over Britain, amateur organ enthusiasts are using the internet to track down and save the thing they love. During the week, Marc Ogier is a sound engineer, but at the weekend, he's transformed into a sort of Dr. Frankenstein for pipe organs.
No.
What?
What?
What happened?
What happened? My feet didn't keep, my left hand doesn't keep up with my right hand. This is normally a back bedroom. and it got converted into an organ about 7 or 8 years ago. There was an issue about the weight on the floor, you know, but it's relatively spread out. It's not too heavy. Organs can be very heavy. There is a crack, but I don't know if it's come from the organ. I think it might have just been the new plaster we had. That's what I tell myself anyway. It started off with 1 rank of pipes and 1 keyboard, and it basically just sort of grew into this size of instrument. The first rank of pipes I bought were these ones. These are Dulciana, made by GM Holditch. These date back to 1850. They believe to have come from Holditch's own house organ. I bought these from a guy in Lytham St Anne's in 2009, it was.
How did you find them on
eBay? Yeah.
Marc's online shopping has a stellar provenance. George Madywell Holditch was a Victorian organ builder famous for his bright, colourful sound. He made over 400 instruments, but now less than 50 survive in their original form.
Because it's a house organ, this is about the largest size of pipe we could fit in here. We have talked lots of times of moving to a bigger house with a room specific for the organ, but you know, I don't know if that'll ever happen. There could end in madness and the thing just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
And what type of music do you like playing?
Have you got a bit of list?
Oh, yes.
His stuff's normally very hard to play, so I can get myself through the first 2 pages of this. Every composer of his worth, or her worth, or his worth, has written music for organs. Obviously, organ music is so varied. That might sound strange, won't it, to somebody, because they think, oh, you know, boring, liturgical, sort of whatever. But it is so varied. I love, you know, the romantic era of the organs. Wagner's, you know, list obviously the big stuff that sounds big and really can move you from, you know, the bottom of your soul all the way to the top of your head. It's such beautiful music.
Don't worry.
That's where all 4 pieces. And that's the easiest bit of it as well, I think.
In a way, he's not a typical organ nut, because you know, you have to get talking to him about organs before you realise he seems quite normal at first glance. One of the first conversations I had with Marc was because I'd been to the Saint-Saëns organ symphony a couple of days before, and I'd mentioned I'd been to a concert, and he asked what it was, and I expected him to look completely blank, but he actually talked about it quite intelligently, so that's when I thought he might be the man for me.
Enthusiasts like Marc have so many parts to pick over because Britain, with resources of empire at its disposal, became the biggest organ building nation in the world, exporting thousands of instruments around the globe. By the start of the 20th century, organs and organ music was everywhere. Town halls, pubs, even private homes lavished vast sums on their organs.
This golden paint and the dark red, yeah, a little bit of silver. It's a typical thing of English organs. It's really lovely made, but nobody wants it.
British pipe organs are attracting attention from all over the world. I've heard of dealers coming from Poland, France, Holland, Nigeria. Thomas is from Germany.
Every year I'm coming to Britain 2 times or 3 times to collect organ pipes or collect a complete instrument. The small bending down just now didn't hurt anything. So, good material. In times before, you have been an empire with a lot of countries you got material from. The wood is mahogany. It doesn't grow in Britain, I think. And even the keyboards made of bone of an elephant. The material is wonderful. The craftsmanship is wonderful. And if nobody cares about it, then it will be destroyed, or the instrument will go to another country. It's a wonderful, nice instrument, and it was not too expensive.
How much did you pay for it?
Nothing. It was a present of the parish nearby. They wanted to get rid of the instrument because they have no use for it. And this instrument is going to be the new gem of a small parish near Stuttgart.
There's no official record kept of the number of organs being shipped abroad. It could be as many as 20 a year. Churches are closing at a faster rate in the northeast than anywhere else. So it's here where Martin spends much of his time.
When was the organ last used?
1st of May, when it was closed.
Oh, right, first, okay. I mean, we'll say it's a small organ, but it's actually, again, it's quite generously built. See, nicely made oak case. And it's still got what seem to be original decorations on the pipes. Someone's done a little job making these pipes on the side, look.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to the building, do you know?
The building, there are 2 people who are interested. One is to pull it down and build houses. The second one is he's going to convert it into 2 houses. There's another section through there, through the other side.
So I'm guessing that might be an A, but it doesn't look like it.
This organ was built in Durham at the workshops of H.J. Nelson, where around 600 were produced between 1880 and 1968, mainly for mining villages like East Stanley.
The worry is there's not a complete list of all the Methodist organs, so we don't always know what's being lost. I'm not sure if the Methodists even know always. I can't find homes for all of them, and 50% go by the wayside. They get lost and skipped.
And would you think if we find the appropriate place that this would be working again?
You know, still good materials.
Yes,
and well made. No, it's not very dirty inside. Was it cleaned in recent years that you know of?
Not that I know, but I know the old lady that played it. She started playing this organ when she was 12-year-old.
Yes.
And she's 95. 95. And I'll tell you what happened. When the church closed, this old lady wouldn't hand her key over. And she said, the next day I went up to have my last play on that organ. And when I got in, I found you had switched the electric off, and I cursed you. Because here you can have the key now. 95-year-old.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? What's her name?
Blanche Beer.
Blanche
Beer.
I took the organ over at a sad time because it was the Second World War. And the person that played the organ had to go away. Best thing that ever happened to me. It was an outlet and always has been for me. And if I was feeling angry, well, the music went like that. It's actually how I felt and how I dealt with things that happened. Well, the church was pretty well filled. We were at the centre of all the important things in life. Everybody more or less knew everybody, but not now, you know. I hope that, you know, things will turn round, but I haven't a lot of hope.
Now, we need to take the key for the church.
Yes, there.
That's this one. And the key for the house, I suppose.
Yes, dear.
I guess so. You know this organ better than anybody else in the world.
Oh, I do, yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Now, backwards. That's it. I'll go and put some wind into it.
Yes. Pie, it's icy cold.
Martin's going to have to hand pump nearly 3 cubic metres of air per minute in the organ's wind reservoir to bring it back to life.
Keep going, son. Now I'm going to put the foot organ out. That's your exercise over for today, dear.
That is jolly hard work. Fewer stops, it'll be easier. That was really hard work.
Yes,
you got
of course.
every stop out, look, that's
I
not
had
fair.
everyone. It's a lovely organ. I think I've been privileged to be able to play it so long. I really do, yeah. So I'm still sorry, I'm still very angry that it's closed down. Take that and I'll get it washed and take it downstairs.
When you meet someone like Blanche, you feel beholden to them as well as to the organ itself. And you really feel you've got to do something about it. What a terrible thing if this organ disappeared in a scrap heap. I just feel terrible if, to let people down in a sense, not finding a home for it. But, I suppose one has to be realistic, There's not a home for every single organ in England. People say in France to me, why are you getting rid of all these organs from England? Why aren't you preserving them? Why aren't you cherishing them? My only answer to that is that the English have fallen out of love with their organs. We should love our organs. We should be wrapped up in them. We should be keen, like you're in love with somebody. You should be in love with the organs as well. You want to embrace them, you want to keep them, you want to preserve them, you want to do the best for them. Oh, I see, yes. Well, there is a panel here.
Yes.
Right. Oh, it's built on the grand scale. There's loads of room for it. Yes, it's certainly not built on a small scale, is it? Look at the size of this reservoir and the stones on top of it. Crumbs, yeah. This is some instrument. You see, these are quite big pipes.
Yeah.
Go right up there.
This sizable organ is promising. It's the first Martin's seen in a while. He might not have to send abroad. It looks big enough to fit the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Clapton, East London.
Very good organ. Lovely.
After spending days with Martin visiting closing churches, it's obvious to me that he's only saving a fraction of the organs being lost. Most are cannibalised, scrapped, or languish in some kind of pipe organ purgatory. What's really amazing to me is that the industry that used to make them in such large quantities still survives. Near Sheffield, Gertz and Gwynn are one of the few remaining organ building workshops.
That's a miserable sound. There we are. Are we a dying breed? Let's put it like this. The number of workshops has declined dramatically. In London, Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, they all had large organ building firms. And that's all gone. The organ culture survives at the top end of the church, at the cathedrals and Oxbridge colleges. It's gone up the social scale. It's become a rather middle-class activity. You must regret that, mustn't you? Yeah. Picks. Yeah, that's it. It is a mess. It was really.
Dominic's firm occasionally makes new organs, but their speciality is restoring historic instruments that are almost beyond repair.
There you can see the pipe starting to collapse and the whole of the front. We can't be sure that the new organ will be exactly like the organ as it was in 1705, but it'll be very close.
The original instrument is being used as a template, since nearly all its mechanism is unrepairable, and only a few of its pipes are salvageable.
These pipes are from the original organ. They're all that survive, these front pipes. And so they're venerable pipes, and they've seen quite a lot of history, and they are in really very bad condition. If you're restoring an organ, you're trying to get the pipes to tell you what they originally sounded like. This is already much improved.
The rest of its 1,300 pipes will need to be made by hand. After 16 months' work, at the cost of £265,000, the college's organ is finally being reassembled.
It may be the newest organ in Ireland at the moment, but it's also the oldest. So, you know, a 300-year-old organ is just, yeah, there aren't any others like it in Ireland, so it's great, yep. You can see, James, this is a very exciting moment, but also rather worrying.
Why?
Because it shows you all the things that you've done wrong and right when you thought about the whole organ and prepared it all in the workshop, and now it all comes together. Well, the bottom sounds promising.
It's as yet unfinished. Well, you can see I got the music set up on the upper keyboard, and so I'm only going to be playing on the chair organ, which you can see behind here, and you can see clearly that's unfinished from all the tools around, but from the pipes that are in, still out of tune and not yet perfect, it's making a really exciting sound. Just three stops there, and this is the kind of sound it's going to make. You can hear the wonderful acoustic in this room. So here goes.
People still want to hear an organ like this, which is very definitely made by human hands. There's no substitute. I think that'll always grab people. You're hearing something which has disappeared for many years. It's the organ that the organist here would have known in 1705. And that is, you know, it's what my life's about, really. Yes, very exciting. There we go.
Oh, very pretty, very pretty. Lovely.
It is, yeah.
Another way of saving organs is to transform the use of the building they're housed in. This London church and its extraordinary organ were facing demolition before a secular charity took it over. Now, it's sometimes a church, but also a music venue.
I hold down notes with the chopsticks, so I have complete control of taking my hands off of the keys.
Claire Singer is an experimental composer who's using the instrument to create a new kind of organ music.
I came to the organ as a composer and actually a cellist and pianist rather than an organist. I've never had any formal training in organ. If you pull out a stop really slowly, then you can actually control how much wind goes into the pipe. And I just thought that was the most beautiful effect ever. So from that point, I was hooked, and that has become 90% of the sound that I create in most of my work. when I was first commissioned to write my first organ piece, what I couldn't believe is just the vast sound that you can get out of this instrument. After I wrote that first organ piece, I felt like I knew a secret, and I couldn't believe how many, like just the lack of composers that were writing for the organ.
Claire's music is helping to bring a new audience to the pipe organ. I think what she does is brilliant, and you've been listening to some of it in this film. Martin's come north again, this time to dismantle the big Catchgate organ in readiness for its long journey to London and a new lease of life.
Hello, Annie. Up. Hi.
We're here.
Fantastic. Well done.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Likewise.
Nice to see you.
What a shame these acoustics, I think,
Well, that's the
will be going.
first thing that everybody says who comes in here. Isn't it wonderful? It's obvious.
To cross over into calm ground. England brought back the gospel to places like Nigeria, and to see these churches being closed down is a form of travesty.
Yes.
It's not good at all. It makes me very sad, you know.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful old church, but
it costs so much money to keep it going.
there was only 3 or 4 families left, and we just couldn't afford it.
By God's grace, it'll be fully utilised in our praise and worship.
It's a grand, beautiful sounding organ. So I just didn't want to think it was going to somewhere to be destroyed. The best organ in the district, without doubt. Of course, I'm biased.
It's going to take several van loads to transport the huge Catchgate organ to its new home.
right at the bottom.
I've seen them.
Yeah, they're there. That's
what size?
Those two at the bottom. So,
wow.
but yeah, it's going to be quite a job. There's a lot to do.
I'm ecstatic. Seriously. I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is going to be hours one day. Look at that. Those pipes, man. It'd be really good to hear all of that sing again. Just to hear that sound. Just play a chord and just hear
the pipes in.
the sound just resonates through the building. And you know that would draw crowds? It will do. People will walk past and then you just hear this monster and they will just, where is that sound coming from? That's what I like to see.
Madam Director, can we just tip it into
No.
a room?
No.
No?
This is, tread carefully with our organ.
Oh, yes, I always tread carefully around
Yeah,
organs.
but tip it. No, you have Marc to answer to, as it says.
Someone saw the pedals and said, "Oh, new piano." I said, "Yeah."
Piano! Hey, this is not a javelin.
No, but it's a rocket launcher.
It looks like a rocket launcher.
Even with the congregation's help, it's going to take Martin several months to rebuild the organ.
Okay, well, I'll check with
That's right, yeah. I mean, you're most welcome to come to the showroom here. We're open Monday to Friday.
It seems to me that aside from closing churches, the biggest threat to pipe organs is the development of a cheaper alternative.
They'll know I'm the Viscount man. They might think I'm the man from Del Monte today.
This is David Mason, the owner of Viscount Organs. He imports hundreds of digital instruments from Italy every year.
Editor software has just been upgraded, so there is a possibility that I'm going to have to upgrade the software that's sitting in that particular stick.
Digital organs are computers that try to mimic the sound of real pipe organs. They use loudspeakers instead of hundreds of pipes. A new pipe organ for an average-sized concert hall or church can cost around £350,000. But Viscounts sell an electronic version for around £30,000. Which is why so many cash-strapped congregations are making pilgrimages to David's digital temple.
I like the chapel effect.
We have the chapel effect, yes. We've got the pipes at one end, the stained glass windows I made myself.
The organ was failing in so many areas. Leathers were missing from pedals.
Yes.
Notes weren't working. Almost on a weekly basis, I was having to adapt. And the cost of restoration would probably be what we're about to spend on the two organs we're going to buy here. In the last few years, we've had to make a decision about the church. We've got a dwindling congregation, and what we want is to try and make the church a hub centre for the community. So we've had architects in, etc., and they've decided that a mezzanine roof would have to go in. The pipe organ over 20 feet high, which means that the mezzanine roof anyway would have chopped the organ up. And having the new remodelling of the church, it really made our decision for us.
All of us in the digital organ industry are regarded by some parts of the community as an evil that would be happily seen off the planet. I couldn't imagine that the pipe organ community in this country combined does more than 25 instruments a year in total. And this single business is doing 200. It's a resistance to change, isn't it? It was controversial when the motor car was introduced. I'm sure all the blacksmiths around the country were moaning that the mode of transport was not going to be the same. In fact, of course, we had the man with the red flag ensuring that the car couldn't travel faster than a pedestrian. But look what happened to the motor car.
Martin's returning north again, this time to Blanche Beer's church. He's not succeeded in holding back the tide of destruction.
I was there 12 hours yesterday, so I was there for 12 hours yesterday.
With his hands full elsewhere, her instrument has slipped through his fingers.
That's what's left.
So he's taken the pipes.
Sorry?
He's taken the pipes, in fact.
Yes.
As well as the pipes being removed, the East Stanley organ stop knobs have been sawn off.
What I felt was nobody wanted it as an organ, and rather than going to a skip, I'd rather have it going for parts. It was the last option.
Such a shame.
You can say that again. Give me many hours of real pleasure. You have no idea.
I have many. I certainly have an idea.
Hurt.
Yeah, I think that's the word.
Really do.
It's the word I'd use.
Yes.
You're right.
I do. And even I hurt thinking about it. When I saw that organ in bits, I could have cried like a blooming big baby.
More than anyone else I've met making this film, Blanche makes me understand the place that pipe organs can have in people's hearts.
I haven't seen an organ stripped down in this form. Looks like a big jigsaw puzzle to me. It's a bit confusing. I can't even know the beginning from the end, how to put this together.
We put an organ into a church and suddenly things start to change. All the people see all the bits arrive and gradually all put together again. A lot of them get involved in it themselves. Then it becomes their organ. It's not just the church organ. Full of black stuff. That's the pure coal dust extract from Durham.
How many hours do you think it'll take you to get it back into shape?
Hours. I don't count in hours. I tend to count in days or weeks.
How many days?
I would have thought around 10 weeks. Organ builders need to rethink. Our resource is our old instruments and the communities to which they're going to go. And if we can save these instruments by not paying out £30,000 for a digital organ, but by paying out that sort of money to move an organ with the help of the community and save it for another 200 years, then we're doing a really good job, and that's a worthwhile job to do.
I love the music. I just love to hear the music that bellows from it. We're surrounded by more or less Caucasians, and they love this type of instrumental music. So when we go evangelizing, telling them about Jesus and his soon return, we can tell them also about our lovely music, and that might get them to come.
Perfect. You ready to go? Can you move up? Put it up there. James, I may need some help this end. Wait a minute. Slowly, really slowly. Okay, now, you're out of line there now a bit. Now, can you go a little bit your way? Not too much. We're nearly there.
That's happy.
Now this is back again. This is a good deal.
Be really interesting, man. Oh, let me get my music. Sorry, guys.
Though it's only got 200 of its 980 pipes installed, Fiona can't resist the urge to start playing.
Great sound.
Is it?
Yeah. Really bright, loud. That's how I like it. I mean, I'm happy. So relieved to hear the organ come to life. It's going back to how things were, I would say. The journey kind of came to a halt, and now we're continuing, which is what I'm happy about.
Through her music school, Fiona can now introduce a new generation to the instrument.
It was rising like this, so that's the air pressure. I think they're just intrigued. They've never had exposure to it before, ever. I think they're kind of fascinated by it. See what you remember.
Lovely. Now, shall we just try and...
Be careful as we are sliding it along.
Really up. Then try and move it.
One to go.
Okay. Okay, I'm pushing it. Oh. We're nearly there. It's in. Well done, all. Fantastic.
Finally. the end of the line. It's just hearing it now, you know?
After many months of work, and despite the COVID pandemic and all its restrictions, it's finally time for the new organ to be inaugurated.
It's a big day. What better time, really, than now? Get people focusing on listening to nice music.
Fiona's recruited a professional organist to show off the full potential of the instrument.
This one makes a difference. The sound, even the guy that played with his feet, with the music, yes, was very good, very good, very good.
From the beginning, there was music everywhere. So let us continue with music. I just cannot describe how elated I am today.
It's hard to be despondent when you hear people reacting the way they have just here at this concert. Let's hope we can give other people that experience, and as many as possible.
When I started making this film, I thought the days of the parish pipe organ were numbered. But I've seen with my own eyes how Martin and his friends are breathing new life into doomed instruments. These magical, musical boxes are a precious connection back to our past.
A pipe organ doesn't preach at you, it sings at you. It's from one soul to another.
Until we recognise their true value, it will be up to this intrepid band of enthusiasts to try and save what they can before it's too late.
There you are.
I don't think they'll die, because I think there's always people who appreciate a real good organ.